are the potential approaches to addressing some of these material factors. And so at this point you're probably wondering, like, who are we? And so a little bit of an introduction as to the organization. So TMP was started in 2009. We're a consulting group with a global spread of staff in the various countries that you can see here. I'm from Cape Town, from South Africa. My colleague Kafi is from Jakarta. And then we've got staff in these various other countries as well. And our real kind of specialty is to look at the interaction between climate and various other social, environmental and other complex problems. We look at the interactions of these challenges and how they affect key sectors of society. So that includes, of course, mining and minerals, and that's why we're here today. But we also look at things like food, biodiversity sectors, energy, security, and other key sectors. What do? We essentially do kind of 4 key services, areas of expertise, kind of call them what you like. The first is around data. So we focus a lot on geospatial data, and you'll see some of that today. Our kind of key specialty is around climate data, but as I mentioned, we really look at how climate interacts with the social context, the economic context, and so on to give that kind of meaning. The second is around producing analyses, so we use this data to produce insights and analyses, as well as through research, through consultation, through field work, to really kind of bring this data to life. And then through those analyses, we really try and identify what are the key risk factors for a given sector, what are the key potential opportunities to address those risks. And then we try to develop solutions. Often these are kind of collaborative solutions, working with the partner that we're engaging with around that. So that might be solutions to manage risk or to seize opportunities that we've identified together. And then lastly, we host engagements, we talk to people in sessions like this. So that might be trainings, it might be a workshop like this, they might be a larger event, really to try and kind of distribute the sort of work that we're doing and get people to talk around these issues that are so important. We have worked in quite a large range of countries, as you can see on the map here. Quite unusual for a fairly data-driven organization is that we've carried out field work in over 45 countries, and so the purpose of this is to really try to get a much better understanding of the work that we're doing in the local context that we're doing it. So moving beyond a kind of just desk-based analytical approach. And really much of the earlier work that we did, which was often focused in the kind of agricultural space, to help organizations identify and manage different ESG risks, was really what brought us to climate. So we kind of started more on the ESG side of things, and we've moved towards understanding how climate is increasingly affecting and interacting with ESG. And so often this kind of came from our own experience of seeing the way that climate was consistently interacting with these factors across different sectors. So the most kind of common and obvious example is in the way that it interacts with water. And so you can imagine how impacts on water affects crop production, impacts on water affects mining companies' ability to process materials where waters are scarce, or too much water leads to flooding and potential damages to kind of access roads and those kinds of practical matters. And that really led us to this kind of key assertion, and that is that climate and ESG factors are very real material factors for companies, for governments, for businesses to consider. And they are absolutely important in sectors like nickel that are reliant on the local context where they're operating, and they are reliant on the natural resources, things like water and land and so on. But we found that when trying to understand the interaction between climate and ESG, the sort of data that was available to us was not really fit for the sort of purposes that we were trying to achieve, a very kind of near-term, localized, granular understanding. And so we've set out to try and improve on the sort of data available from a climate perspective in a few ways. So the first is we focus very much on the near term. So this is quite unusual. Producing climate data for the next sort of 5 to 10 years. For those that are familiar with kind of climate modeling and climate science, you'll be familiar with the fact that it's often projections of around 2040 and above. We take this assumption that climate change is happening now, we're seeing the effects of it now, and so what sort of insights can we produce to help prepare for those sorts of impacts in the very kind of near-term time frame. The second is that we focus on extremes, so these are things like floods, droughts, heat waves, those sorts of very real material impacts. And the reason that we do that is because those are the sorts of impacts that cause disruptions. Those are the sorts of impacts that affect operations, affect communities, affect ecosystems, and so on.